This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis. It's the Morning Majlis.
Good morning, Sharjah and the United Arab Emirates. It is a brand new day, Tuesday, the 7th of July, and we are talking about a number of big things, a number of big developments shaping the headlines across the globe. A lot of people in the UK would be observing this day as an anniversary of a very, very sad incident that took place over 15 years ago. And its time has gone by very quickly. It is surprising indeed. But here in the United Arab Emirates and on the Morning Majlis, we have lots of stories that we'll be talking about, just to give you a bit of a recap in terms of what's going on, and also talking about what's happening around our region as well. A very good morning to Ahmed Dawood and Rania.
Good morning, guys. Good morning to Ahmed and Abdul Karim and to all the listeners of the show. I hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. Well, today we are going to continue the discussion about the state of travel, as we have been keeping you updated with all the latest developments on that. But just yesterday, the UAE's newest budget airline, Air Arabia Abu Dhabi, has announced that it will start operating flights from the nation's capital starting July 14th. We will tell you the destinations that it will fly to and how to book for the tickets, the protocols and measures to follow ahead of traveling and when returning. And we will also give you more updates on the state of travel in general.
That's right, and we have a number of international stories to delve into this morning. A big update, in fact, on the China-India situation. They have reached an agreement, and this is according to India media sources. So we'll delve into exactly what is happening, what the agreement entails, and how it should shape the conflict at the border between the two countries. So stay tuned for the international developments as we discuss them on this program.
Yeah, there's lots to discuss as well, and a couple of big initiatives there here in the United Arab Emirates when it comes to testing us. 2 million tests in the next 2 months. That's a pretty impressive target to have, and let's tell you, it is very achievable, because if the country can do 71,000 tests in a day, 2 million in 2 months should be fairly achievable. But yes, do join us live on our YouTube platforms. If you've just woken up having your breakfast, listening to Pulse 95, would like to see our happy faces and the granddad look that I always sport every morning with the glasses. You can definitely join us on online, YouTube, and stream us, drop us some comments over there, and also DM us on Pulse 95 Radio. We all have access to that. And if you'd like to be standard, old school, old-fashioned, 4215 is the text line for you to get involved with the discussions. Well, time now for us to take a bit of a breather, and we shall return right after that with big developments from the Emirate of Sharjah. This is the Morning Majlis.
Pulse 95.
95.
The heart of Sharjah.
All day.
This is Pulse 95, and no Morning Majlis is complete without talking about aviation.
Of course.
And we are just hearing, celebrating how there is now a new update and a new airline joining the fleet and flying the flag of the United Arab Emirates. It is going to be Air Arabia Abu Dhabi. They've announced they're going to be starting direct flights connecting two very important Egyptian cities, Alexandria and Sohag in Egypt. And the inaugural flight will take off on the 14th of July, followed by flights to Sohag the next day. As far as we're aware, they are going to start their operations with Airbus A320 aircraft, and it's going to be what they say a value-added product and service provided by Air Arabia across its hubs.
Yes, and when it comes to the flight details, to go into this more thoroughly, flights to Alexandria's Burj Al Arab International Airport will operate 3 times a week on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, departing Abu Dhabi International Airport at 3 p.m. local time, and arriving at 4:55 local time there in Egypt. The return flights will depart Alexandria at 5:35 p.m. local time, arriving in Abu Dhabi at 11:30 local time at night. Now, flights to Sohag International Airport will depart every Wednesday at 2:20 p.m. local time, arriving in Sohag at 4 p.m. local time. The return flight departs Sohag at 2 12:40 p.m. local time, arriving in Abu Dhabi at 10:10 p.m. local time.
Yeah, and Air Arabia Abu Dhabi's group CEO Adil Al Ali said that this development shows that despite the fact that the global aviation sector is struggling with unprecedented challenges due to COVID-19, what is happening now is a testament to the strength of the UAE's aviation sector and Air Arabia's commitment to growing. Aviation analysts said that the new carrier will target the Middle East and North African market in the first phase of operations, and it would then expand to reach Asian markets that are much farther from where we are at the moment. And passengers who book the tickets with the new airline will also be able to take advantage of the wide network and fleet of Etihad Airways and Air Arabia as well.
Yep, of course. And if you are one of those passengers who are going to be boarding that flight, let us know on the text lines 4215. There's still a lot of people out there who are very proud and claim that they flew on the first Emirates flight, and that was way back in 1985 when they flew to Karachi. And a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I was on that plane and had a great time." And they still have those certificates that were issued back then. Are you one of those who decides to just fly because it's the first flight and the inaugural flight and say, "You know what, we're going to go on it"? You wouldn't want to do it.
No, I don't go first.
You don't go first, all right. So you wait for them to go
Yeah.
first. What about Mr. Ahmad Dawood? Would you just take an inaugural flight?
No.
No. I just take it. It's just fun, It'll be...
I can see you do that. You like the challenges and the new
why
adventures.
Not? Why not? It'll be pretty...
You are that person. You always try things when they first open up. I noticed that about you.
No. Well, we have to do that. Well, definitely, we should be flying, and happy flying to all of you if you're going to be taking those flights, and happy flying for those who will be flying back to the UAE or even coming down as the doors for tourists are opening up in the United Arab Emirates. So let us know if you are excited to welcome your friends or families to visit you finally after a closure of 3.5 months. Yeah. Well. Up next, we shall be talking about the big developments right after the business headlines, though. It is India and China. Bit of a scuffle, but they've finally come to a little bit of an agreement. What's happening and how do we know it is an agreement? All this will be discussed right here on the Morning Majlis.
Pulse 95.
Join the conversation with the Morning Majlis. Pulse 95.
Join the conversation with the Morning Majlis. Now, a question for all of you listeners.
Before a question,
Yes.
I have a question for
Whoa,
you.
whoa.
Whoa, what's happening here?
Are you proud to be made in Pakistan?
I wasn't made in Pakistan.
You weren't,
No, sadly not.
but you are.
From
Pakistan.
Yeah, originally from
At this
there,
point, you
yes.
should be really, really proud.
Yes, but my question to you,
Okay, give me the question.
the reason why we're talking about this is when someone says made in Pakistan, what's the first thing that pops in your mind?
Something with food.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Footballs.
What?
All footballs are made in Pakistan.
No way.
Well, all footballs. They
All
don't
footballs?
have they don't have the brightest of all football teams, mind you, but all footballs.
But the actual football.
actual football is made
What do
in
you mean
Pakistan.
all foot? Literally every single football on the planet
Yeah.
is made in Pakistan.
Well, obviously there's going to be plastic ones that are made in China, but the official FIFA ones, they're made in
No
Pakistan.
way.
Yeah, check out your footballs.
Oh.
Find your footballs in your attic or wherever they are. Or
That's
we don't
new
have attics in this
information.
country.
That's
but
new information that I'm
yeah,
thinking.
really.
Yeah.
Well, made
Very
in,
interesting.
Made in Pakistan would be footballs. What's the other thing that you would think is made in Pakistan?
You. I'm still.
Just me.
I insist.
Okay. Text lines are open, 4215. What do you think is made in Pakistan? And the other things you could potentially say, maybe mangoes? Mangoes. Most mangoes over
Interesting.
here are from Pakistan or even from India. But this is the season for the Pakistani mangoes. Any other thing that you think is made in Pakistan?
Well, now they have ventilators.
Now they have ventilators.
Yes.
Yes, and that is a big story. Another thing that a couple of texters are saying, leather jackets. Leather jackets.
Leather jackets,
Leather
nice.
jackets also made in Pakistan. Well, not
Nice.
all of them, but most of them. When you go to the big festivals like Global Village, you go to Pakistani Pavilion. That's where you find. Just like how you find honey in Yemen.
That's true.
Yeah.
Clothes.
Clothes. But now, the reason why we're talking about this is now we have the first facility that makes made in Pakistan ventilators.
Yes, Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan actually yesterday unveiled the country's first locally developed ventilator to help frontline medical professionals treat seriously ill COVID-19 patients. Now, these ventilators are called SafeVent SP100. They have been designed by National Radio and Telecommunication Corporation, and RTC, which is Pakistan's high-tech industry that is engaged in manufacturing of telecommunication equipment. And NRTC has produced 15 units of SafeVent SP100, those ventilators that we're talking about, and has a production capacity to manufacture 250 to about 300 units per month.
That's right, Rania. And these are happening amid a time where the pandemic has killed about 4,800 people since late February when it hit the nation of Pakistan, a nation of 220 million people. However, officials have reported a consistent decline in new infections and deaths from the infection over the past week. Prime Minister Imran Khan inaugurated the production unit and handed over the first batch of SafeVent SP100 portable ventilators to the National Disaster Management Agency. The facility in the northern town of Haripur has a production capacity of up to 300 ventilators per month.
Yeah, and it was part of the initiative to be self-sustaining. That's according to the Science and Technology Minister Fawad Chaudhry, who said that Pakistan will have a huge medical equipment industry, which will help the country cut down its imports bill by $1 billion in 3 years. And in 5 years, Pakistan will not have to import any medical equipment. So far, what we do know is he described this occasion as a historic day. First batch of ventilators have been handed over to the NDMA. 57 designs were submitted by the Pakistan Engineering Council. 4 of them have been selected, and the committees will now be handing over the first batch of commercially manufactured ventilators. 3 more facilities, 2 by the private sector, 1 in the public sector, will be the manufacturing ventilators, or will manufacturing ventilators within the country. So it is a big development. So now, when someone says, what do you think of when it comes to made in Pakistan?
Ventilators.
Yeah, there we go. We will now take a bit of a breather, prepare for the world of news headlines, and we shall return right after that. So stay tuned to the Morning Majlis.
You're listening to Pulse 95.
95.
It's the Morning Majlis. Pulse 95. Join the conversation with the Morning Majlis. Pulse 95.
Hello and welcome back on to the Morning Majlis, and we go over to the United States because just news emerged from there. International students who are pursuing their degrees or university degrees in the United States will now have to leave the country or risk deportation if their universities switch to online-only courses, and that is according to Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
Well, that is something that is going to affect a lot of students, thousands of foreign students who come to the United States. This comes after Harvard also announced, Harvard University, that most of their courses are now going to go online only, in line with the pandemic situation in the United States. Now, we did put this question across to the U.S. Consul General when we did the interview for the 4th of July celebration, and they did clarify, saying that the executive order that was passed almost just under a month ago does not really concern the international students immediately, but obviously when there's a lot of thought of migrating, that is going to be one thing that a lot of them would have expected, particularly the students that are already based in the United States. But that executive order is in place until the end of this year, so it doesn't really impact too much to that. But the students who are wishing to get their visas for the full semester, because the current pandemic, visa issuance is suspended, so obviously they were waiting till they were opening up. But now with this announcement coming from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, it's going to put a lot of people in a bit of a hot water situation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a scramble because if your university would strictly switch to online-only classes, then if you're an international student, you can't stay there. You can only go if the university has a hybrid model or still holds physical classes. There are several problems with this. Number one, the timing. So the announcement requires universities to certify by July 15 whether they will fully open or operate a hybrid model or online-only classes. That gives you pretty much a week to come up with a decision. So university officials have been speaking to media. They're saying they're in a bit of a scramble at the moment. President of the American Council on Education, Ted Mitchell, saying the guidelines are horrifying and raised more questions than they answered, did more harm than good at a time of great uncertainty as well. And we've certainly seen that outpouring of questioning concerns following the announcement, according to the reports. Blindsided university officials are holding emergency conference call, contacting people and frantically seeking answers to determine what the impact would be on a number of students. Many of the universities are also starting in 4 to 5 weeks as well, which gives everybody an extremely short time window to find a decision. Some of the questions people also ask is, if labs close and people are not able to fully work on their dissertation research, would they have to leave the country? Because there are many PhD candidates from abroad involved in critical research, even research on how to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ahmed. It's definitely a double-edged sword, let's just say. Some students went over to the United States in hopes of starting a new life, let's say. And a lot of them thought about it as, I'm getting a US-based degree, let's say, and I'm experiencing a new culture that everyone dreams about and loves. Hopefully getting a green card as well, or if I stay longer, I can get a passport. So that's like everyone, a lot of students had that on their minds as well. While others now, they're probably happy with this news because they just cannot adapt to the culture there. They cannot adapt to the environment. They're probably scared because it's now threatened by the coronavirus. It's the hardest hit country in the world with the coronavirus. So I have a couple of friends that are studying there as well, and they're concerned about their health as well and their safety because a lot of people there, not all of course, but a lot of people there are pretty careless about the situation of the coronavirus. And also, they just cannot adapt to the environment of the United States. They want to go back home. They just want to finish their studies. So it has two sides.
Well, health concerns are certainly important, especially considering the fact that the United States is the highest number of cases around the world, and the situation doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. But every state is different. Every educational institution is different. And given the reports that we're seeing, everybody just seems to be on a scramble. So many questions to answer. And I certainly wouldn't think that an international student would enjoy being forced out of an institution in a few days. So it's a difficult development for everyone, certainly.
Yep. As per the really recent news statement that's come in from the International Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they say that students who are the U.S. Department of State will not issue visas to students enrolled in schools or programs that are fully online or for the full semester, nor will the U.S. Border and Customs Protection permit the students to enter the United States. There's an exception for universities that use a hybrid model, such as a mix of online and in-person classes. So that's what they've come up and clarified. But at the moment, they said those people who fall under this visa category may not take a full online course load and remain in the United States, and they can look for other options of the universities that are doing those online courses. it's not easy to do that. And, and there's a lot of people who are still messaging us and also contacting us, asking, saying, you know, why does it matter if it's online? If they got a student visa, why can't they go to the United States and continue? Well, looking at it from the immigration perspective, even in the UK, they follow this. The UK Border Agency does. If your attendance falls or it's not there, then the immigration steps in and saying, hang on a minute, when you're a student, what are you doing? Are you working elsewhere? Are you making money on a student visa? Which you are allowed to do so, but there's a limit to do that as well. So it does. You have to understand from the immigration perspective as well where they're coming from. If they're thinking, okay, if a student comes in and is expected to be in a course and they're not there, they can do it from home.
Right.
Stay home. Stay safe.
Yeah.
But the other side of the angle is I wanted to take a course, get a university degree in the United States, be in the country, be with my colleagues and peers and learn from them as well. But really we're hoping that the clarification and clarity do come in, but a new statement coming in from the agency themselves, it's pretty dead and it's certain.
Yeah, the key thing here is certainty here, because a lot of questions are still floating around as university officials scramble. Very short time window to act, and I think that's really the biggest concern that officials have expressed when dealing with the situation, is that they wished that they had this information for a long time before, so they can assess the situation appropriately and take good measures.
Yeah, should have been well coordinated. It's just because Harvard University has said that all course instruction will be delivered online now, including for students living on campus. For international students, this has opened the door for them having to leave the United States. Are you one of those students? Is it impacting your plans of going to the United States? Are you one of those who's still probably going to be deciding whether the UK, US, Canada, Australia, or even the United Arab Emirates? AUS is a great university. Just going to point it out for you, and University of Sharjah. Yeah, it's just going to put a lot of you in a bit of a state of bother. But remember this, there's no wealth. No, health is your biggest wealth. So that's why I was trying to phrase it that. But so if you are going to be worried about the education, remember that health comes first, and it is about making sure that you and your family are safe in this pandemic situation. Speaking of health, sports and fitness is up next here on the Morning Majlis or Pulse 95, because Hani Balkas is going to provide us with sporting headlines. Stay tuned to the Morning Majlis.
Pulse 95.
The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95. A very good morning on to the Morning Majlis. We're talking about the big news here in the United Arab Emirates when it comes to the world of COVID-19 tests. We have been ranking fairly high up there when it comes to the per capita level of testing, and this is also one of the reasons why we've been seeing an increased number of cases, is because of more tests being conducted. Now the United Arab Emirates hopes to do or aims to conduct more than 2 million tests in 2 months.
That's right, and the tests will mainly target workers in the services and government sectors. It will cover public transportation, taxi drivers, workers in hotels and malls, as well as government employees. And this was announced during last night's media briefing. Now, here's the deal. Dr. Amna Dahak al-Shamsi, spokesperson for the UAE government, speaking about this particular development, noted that yes, there has been a slight increase in the number of coronavirus cases over the past few days. And she said that the UAE government is certainly worried about this increase. And she said that this increase reflects the, quote, reckless behavior of some residents in not complying with safety precautions. She was referring to the precautionary measures like wearing your face masks, like maintaining good hygiene and social distancing. Shamsi also announced that health institutions in the country had carried out 28,000 COVID-19 tests, which had revealed over 528 new cases, bringing the total number of registered cases to 52,068 so far.
Yes, and we also talked about Sharjah yesterday conducting free COVID-19 tests for residents, especially of Nahda, but altogether, all residents of Sharjah can be conducted for free for those. But yesterday actually witnessed a huge turnout as well. In Sharjah, 253 tests were conducted on residents on the first day in Al Nahda, Sharjah. This was done through 2 tents, one for men and one for women, that were equipped to take into account precautionary measures, including social distancing, of course. The first day culminated in testing 153 men and 100 women. So it was a success to be the first day.
Yeah, to be celebrating. And of course, there's they've announced in Sharjah, the Sharjah police have saying that they will now be covering all areas of the Emirate of Sharjah, which is really good to see. One thing that is worth noting and to point out is that you will receive an SMS here in the Emirate of Sharjah and before you are asked to come over. So the SMS will be an alert to say, hey, come over to this your appointment and conduct your test at this facility. So do make sure that you wait for your SMS that comes to you. Obviously, there will be targeting people or senior citizens, and across the nation it's free anyway for those aged 50 and above. All you have to do is book an appointment through Saha app as well, and you can go to one of the drive-through testing centres. But these field testing centres is something that is a great initiative by the Sharjah government.
Absolutely, and the UAE government as a whole, in that press briefing, expressing that major concern about the situation, certainly highlights the "We Are All Responsible" campaign and the importance of it, and how, despite coming a long way, we still need to be careful, we need to be cautious, we need to exercise all the precautions in order to beat the pandemic. So UAE government has called on residents to cooperate with the authorities. They said violators will be fined, and that we must remain at all times vigilant and not ignore the impact and the consequences of our irresponsible actions, because they could indeed jeopardize lives. Now, a piece of good news here is the fact that compared to the rest of the world, the UAE's recovery rate is at 78% compared to the global average of less than 57% as well.
Well, there we go. A bit of an update in terms of what the Emirate of Sharjah is doing and the United Arab Emirates as a whole, as the nation continues this fight against the spread of COVID-19. Final message that came from the spokesperson was that it is essential that everyone be responsible while in public places and be careful not to be infected or endanger others through attending gatherings. And one aspect is to regularly maintain social distance and regularly also keep good hand hygiene, and that is something that is worth very, very important. And of course, wearing face masks in public places and when you're outside. Stay tuned to the Morning Majlis. Up next, we will talk economic ambitions and economic plans of countries such as Saudi Arabia. And for now, it is time for us to part ways and head off.
Yes.
Absolutely,
sadly.
we will be, sadly. But we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Thank you all for listening, texting us on the channels 4215 as well as our YouTube page. And if you'd like to listen to some of the highlights from today's program, do head over to SoundCloud and type The Morning Majlis on the search bar. Thank you all for listening. Hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, stay responsible during this time, and see you tomorrow.
The heart of Sharjah.
This is Pulse 95.
Heart of Sharjah.